All right, so here is where we're at this point. With the timing belt cover off, you'll notice the gaskets are all gone from the timing belt covers, and the assembly, the belt assembly that goes there. Take my word for it, the ones on the plastic timing belt covers are gone as well. The timing belt itself looks in pretty good shape. Like when you look at it, it's not showing any evidence of wear, which is great, which doesn't mean that we don't have to do it, because we do have to do it, but it does mean it's less of a concern. Can't quite tell. I'm not really seeing evidence specifically of active leaking through the cam, but I'm sure it has through the cam cells. But it is pretty clean behind it. This guy here, this bracket, I've still got one single bolt at the back that I just can't get, but I was able to pull it out of positioning and see in order to get the belt assembly off, so that's good. Getting that detached was not too bad. 4 big long bolts, and you know, I'm gonna have to regroup here and basically figure out the next steps in the order of the next steps. So what I've really got to do is valve cover gaskets for sure, and part of taking off the belt assembly and exposing the drive belt and stuff was to be able to get these valve cover exposed. Now I've got all the screws out, all the bolts out of these, and I am yet able to pull it out. So, you know, let's look in here. There it is. See, that guy's out. This guy's out. That guy's out. So my real question was initially to the forum, is there a pry bar point that I should be looking at to take this off? Something that I'm supposed to be using to pull it up and off. I just don't see that at this point. You know, I guess I could maybe pry here, but I really want to be careful, so I don't want to damage the rim of that valve cover. So I've got my rubber mallet here, and I do have a little edge. I'm going to try a couple of things and see what I can do. My adage for everything I do is to do no harm. It's something I've learned in my tech work on espresso machines. Is to always sort of slow my roll when necessary, and you know, be able to back up at any point and reassemble everything. And I've managed to do that for the most part with this, although of course the coils and the spark, the wires for the spark plugs themselves were basically damaged in the removal. So there's, you know, those absolutely have to be replaced. So I'm not going to be reassembling with those. So those are going back together. But you know, I'm in deep on this thing, and it looks like we're doing for sure the timing belt. We're doing the water pump. We'll have to do the various gaskets associated with everything related to those. I'll do these cam seals for sure, and then I will do the valve cover gaskets. I'll also do the valve stem seals, because I know this guy has been burning oil for a long time. My coolant is absolutely crystal clear in terms of no evidence of any oil or anything in that, and so I will not go any deeper to the heads at this point. I just don't have that skill set either, or at least you know, I'm trying to limit the scope of this project to something that I can actually accomplish still before it gets into just a pile of parts on the floor and a empty frame. And you know, there's an enormous amount of work here for me to do, a few hours at a time in between service callouts from work and all the associated things of my life here. But I'm quite motivated to get this vehicle back on the road. This is my primary work vehicle, as well as my daily driver for most things, and so I've got to I got to get it back here. But yeah, so there's the process so far. I got lots of help from various Mitsubishi forums and Facebook groups. SoCal Mitsubishi guys have been great. There's some amazing contributors and a wealth of knowledge base, and I'm doing my best to respect everybody and not ask asinine questions as I go. And you know, sometimes that's hard to avoid, but it's something that I'm trying to respect. And the other thing that you know, sometimes you just don't know it's an asinine question until you go through the process of asking it, and sometimes the answer reveals itself to you 5 seconds after you've asked the question. So apologies when people have encountered anything I posted related to that. The last thing I'll say here is that, you know, doing this kind of thing, you know, as a technician on, you know, relatively complicated espresso machines and coffee makers, I've got a set of tools and a skill set that is mechanically inclined, we'll say, and really it's about methodology and sort of workflow and flow charting process and procedure. So, you know, with the generous support of the people that have been helping me, you know, what is to stop anybody with this kind of skill set to doing some of their own work? Well, you know, sure, a little bit of experience, but you know, if you proceed with caution, I have no reason to think that it can't be accomplished. So, and when you run into problems or you run into questions, you have to have the patience to hold your roll and slow it down, and you know, or slow your roll and reach out for assistance or, you know, verification before you proceed to a step that gets you to a point of no return, or paints you into a corner, or causes you some sort of irreparable harm or damage to the project, which is, you know, nothing that anybody wants. So so far so good, but as you can see, yeah, an enormous amount of work here still to go. But I can't believe I'm at this stage already. I never ever thought I would have a wrench on this engine in this way and be this deep already. I know it's child's play for a lot of you guys, but this is a pretty massive deal and endeavor for me right now, and in some ways a pretty major accomplishment too. So I just thought I'd share this, and you know, as a bit of a documentation, and hopefully you guys will see me on the street driving this thing pretty soon. And by pretty soon, I mean, you know, probably like 4 or 6 weeks as I go through and carefully do everything that I've planned here on this. So anyway, many thanks, and I'll wrap this up.